Hi guys, and welcome to another Bootstrap 4 video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. In our last video we created this sort of bouncing logo effect here, which is pretty over the top, but just gives you an idea of what you can do with a bit of CSS there. In this video we're going to create a fading full width slider carousel. We're going to be using the bracket software for this. So if we open the brackets, what I'm going to do, this is our site that we built right here. Here's our index.html file. Just going to right click on it and open it with the bracket software. And as I say, this bracket software is free. You can download it from a link below this video and it's absolutely awesome. So if we go down, this is where we kind of finished up here. I'm going to put it above our little bit of text here, which is, move these out of the way, which is this section here. I want our slider to be right up near our nav bar here. And we're going to do this the real easy way. I'll show you in a minute a great shortcut. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a section for our slider. Like I say, I'm putting it above that bit of text there. So I'm just going to have a new section. I'm not going to give it an ID at the moment, but later on might decide to give it an ID so we can navigate to it. And inside there we're going to just put a div, a division or a divider, however you like to call it. And sitting in between those two is where we're going to actually put our carousel. Now because I'm got a full width carousel in mind, I've just created some images with Photoshop here. And I've made these images 1920 pixels by about 500 pixels. And like I say, I've made 3 of them. And I saved those in our little website folder. In our images folder here. There we are. SL1, SL2 and SL3. They're JPEGs, like I said, they're 1920 by 500. I know Photoshop's an expensive program, not everybody has it, but I believe there's one out there called GIMP, G-I-M-P, that does pretty much the same job. So anyway, I've created the slides that we're going to use for this. Now let's actually create the slider. Now for years and years I went through it and hand coded everything, which is okay, great for learning, but I like to do things a little quickly now, especially as I have a lot of projects on quite often and speed is of the essence. So I'm going to use an extension manager that we've got here built into brackets. And all you do is go up to File, go down to Extension Manager, and it's going to open this little box up right here. Now if you've seen any of my videos before, skip ahead because we will have covered this already. And in the available box, if you're building Bootstrap 4, just put Bootstrap 4 in the search box up here. And it'll come up with all these available snippets that you can use that'll help you go along. This will all become apparent in a minute when I do it. For ours today, I'm going to use one called RCH Bootstrap 4 snippets. And it's not highlighted because I already got it installed. If I hadn't, there'd be an install button there. Now, if you need to get it, it's free. In fact, every one of these little extensions that I use are absolutely free. So just hit the install button. It'll either automatically install it, or it'll take you to their GitHub site where there'll be a zip file for you to download. And once you've downloaded the zip file, just simply click on it and drag it over here to this little box and it will install it for you there. So here's my installed ones, and like I say, I'm going to use that Bootstrap RCH4. There it is, RCH Bootstrap 4 snippets. And for information about it, you need to click on the more info. It'll take you to their GitHub site where it's got all the shortcodes. It's got for alerts, badges, breadcrumbs, buttons. And how these shortcodes work is you just type this particular bit of shortcode in there and it'll actually insert the HTML for you. And I'll do it quickly with a carousel. I'll show you where the carousels are down here. And for today's little example, I'm going to use a carousel full with a fade effect. By default, carousel full will be a slide effect. One image will appear and it'll slide out to the left usually, and a new one will appear. I want it to fade, so I'm going to use BS4 carousel full _ fade. And the simple thing is, that's all you do. Just type that into brackets and it'll put in the code for you. So let's go back to the brackets. I'll just close that. Now, in our little section we just created, it was BS4 carousel full, and it's already prompted us for one there. So I'm going to do the full fade. Boom. And as you see, it's inserted all this nice HTML code for us. I'm just going to tidy it up and tab it across so it's in line. And now that would have taken me several minutes to type out there, and it's done it all for you here. Now all we need to do, if we go to the site, if I save that, Control S, and we go back to our site, if I save it, you probably won't see anything. You might see a bit of legending or writing, but let's have a look, see. No, you won't see anything. There is actually something there, but we haven't put any images in, so you can't see what's going on. So if we go back to our brackets, let's insert those images that I told you about. Now they're in our images folder. Here's our actual site folder with our index.html. Inside here is a folder called images with our images in it. So that's where I need to point it to so it can load those images. So if we look, we've got 1, 2, 3 little slides. See, carousel item, carousel item, carousel item. And you'll see patterns develop when you're coding, if it's good code anyway, that differentiates the different slides and different sections and stuff like that. Once you've done it a few times, you'll just recognize those instantly. And what we need to do, here's our carousel item, and we need to go the image, because that's what we want. We want to put in an image, and I'll just briefly tell you what it's doing. It's giving it a class of dBlock, which means it's displaying block, which is the full size of the container it's in. Width 100, so it's going to stretch all the way across. Source is where the image is located. Now it's in our images folder, so I just have to write img, which is the name of the folder, img, and you see it's found it there. Now if I just click on that, it's going to show us everything that's in that folder there. So I want slide 1, SL1. And alt is an alt tag, and all images should usually have an alt tag. It's for sight readers, for people with visually impaired. It'll actually read out what the image is there. So you can either put a description of your image, which is what it's built for, but a lot of people actually use that for SEO, and you can put geographical terms or keywords or something like that. Anyway, let's move on down. Let's do the same thing for the next two. So folder name was img, images. There it is. Let's put the second one in. Or if you prefer, you can just copy and paste, or just type the manual source URL in there. Well, it's not really URL, but where it is, and just change that to slide 3, because you know the names. Well, I know the names. Okay, so save that. Control S to save. Now when we go back to our site and do a refresh, our slider should appear right here, and that little block of text there should be down below it. So let's do a refresh. There we go. That logo is a little bit over the top there. Okay, so there's our slider, and you can see it's rotating automatically, which is just what we want. And it's got some indicators to go back and forth, and it's got some little buttons down here that you can, shows you which slide it's on. So that's all very well and good. There's our slides, but we probably want to customize it a little bit here. And perhaps you don't want those little lines there. I mean, they're great, but let's customize it to our needs just a little bit here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy. Well, let's do it in brackets. I'm just going to expand this so we've got a little more text in our thing here. So I'm going to just steal a bit of text from here for demonstration purposes. I'm just cutting and pasting, or copying and pasting. Control C to copy, Control V for Victor to paste. And let's put a little caption, make this caption a little bit longer. Again, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, a little gap in there. I'm leaving what was there, second, first, etc., just so you can differentiate between the slides. And let's save that. Control S, back to the site, and refresh again. There we go. Now we've edited that text. Okay, so that's how you put your text in there. What if I want it to be a little higher up? Now, I really want to see it in the middle, around here somewhere. Very easily done. I'm using Google Chrome browser here, and I suggest you use it. If you don't, it's really good. It's got these great inspector tools. So all I'm going to do is right click and hit the inspect button, or you can hit Control Shift I or F12 on your keyboard, and that brings up the inspector here. And as long as you're on the Elements tab over here and Styles over here, it will show you the HTML on the left here and the CSS on the right. Yours may be up the side. You can dock it in different places by using this little drop down 3 buttons there, and put it on the right side on the bottom, or on the left side on the bottom, or on the right. Or you can have it undocked, which will be a little box that you can play around with. So now I've got that open and I've highlighted what we want here. When you scroll over items on here, they will highlight to show you what you selected. Now actually I want the carousel caption, which is both of those lines of text there. And carousel caption, there we are. Now what do we want to do with it? We want to move it up to the middle there somewhere. Take this down just a little bit. Yeah, we can see the whole thing there. And here's our carousel caption. And it's got a bit of padding on the bottom, so we want more padding on the bottom. If you left click on a numerical value or one of the boxes here, just left click on it, select it, you can use your mouse button to roll it up or down, and it will show you in real time what it's actually doing there. Can you see that moving up the page? So I'm scrolling it up, and you can put it to where you want it and make a note of whatever the pixel ratio is. I'm actually going to use, instead of pixels, I'm going to use a percentage here. So that way when it shrinks down on different devices, it should remain fairly constant. So I'm just highlighting that, and I'm going to start off with, say, 5%. So I'll say 5 and percent. So that's moved it up some. Not quite enough. I think that's about right there. What's that? 9%. Good. So all I need to do is now copy this from the dot for carousel there. I'm just going to copy it down to 9% there. You have to be quick with the slider, because once it goes around, it'll deselect it for you. And if we go back to our brackets now, for this particular site, we're using on-page CSS, so I don't have a separate file here. There's all that CSS for that bouncing logo. And let's drop down a couple. I'll give it a title, / // and in between I'm just going to write carousel. or slider or whatever you want to call it, just so you know what it is that you're writing in here. Now let's drop down a couple more, and I'm going to hit Control V, paste in what we just copied from the browser. There it is. And let's just tidy that up, move it over a little bit. And when you have an opening curly bracket like that, you always want to make sure you've got a closing one on the end. Close it out. We'll put our closing one on the end there. Now we can get rid of anything that we did not change. We didn't change the position, we didn't change the right, we didn't change the bottom or the left or the Z index or the padding on the top. All we did change was the padding bottom, so we can delete that. If you find it quicker, just copy Carousel Caption, type it in, however you want to do it that works for you. So now when we hit Control S, actually before I hit Control S, let's go back. Get rid of that inspector. Now if I refresh, that's going to drop down to the bottom because we haven't saved that CSS. See, it's gone back to how it originally was. Let's open that back up. Now let's save it, Control S. You'll see a little dot right there just beside the index.html. And that dot tells me we've made some edits on here and not saved them. Now if I hit Control S to save, it disappears, which means you've got everything saved. You can also go to File and Save if you prefer to do it that way like any other program. Now if we go back to the site and refresh it again, this should pop back up to where we put it. There you go. Alrighty, so we've got that working. Make sure our slider is still going to slide. There we are. It's still, well, I should say fade rather than slide. Alright, well, we've got these nice little buttons telling us which slide we're on here. Perhaps I don't want them to be lines like that. I mean, that's pretty in vogue at the moment, I have to say, but I see a lot with little circles there or little squares. You can have what you want. Again, let's right click and hit Inspect. And there's our carousel indicators. So we want, you see it highlighted when I go up there. Let's just click on that. And here it is. Now what do we want them to do? Let's make them little dots. I see those quite often. So let's have a look down. At the moment, I don't think that's what we want, is it? That's what we want. We actually want the list items themselves. You see, it's highlighting the actual line itself there rather than the block they're in, which is the indicators right there. So if we click on that one, see what we got here. Again, we'll have to change it pretty quick because every time it rotates, it's going to do something. It's saying the width is 30 pix, height's 3 pix. That makes it that line there. Let's change that to say width 10 pix. You see they've gone short already, and let's give it the same height. That'll make them square. Okay, well that's not too bad actually, but I'd like to see them round, and that's just another little bit of CSS to make them round. We'll give them a border radius. And don't just copy what I'm doing here. Experiment, play with it, make it your own, and you can get some great things going here. So let's say border radius 50%. That's going to make them into a circle. There we go. Now they're little round dots. And let's give them a background color of green. For argument's sake, you can give them any color you want. See, there's green. Actually, that doesn't stand out anymore. Let's make it red. That's better. And see, the highlighted one is now white, or remains white. We can change that if we want to, but let's just do this. Copy this again. And again, I'm getting it all the way from the dot to the closing curly bracket there. Just wait till it rolls around again one more time. Give me a bit more time. Select, Control C. Now back to our brackets. and we'll put it below our last bit of CSS here. And just tidy it up again. Select, hit tab to go that way, shift tab to go back the other way. Okay. So didn't change position, MS flex, no. Width we did change, so we want to keep the width and the height. Border radius we put in, so we want to keep that. Didn't change margins. We did change the background color, so we'll delete everything but that. Quick save, Control S. If we go back to the site here, we've still got it up here. But you see this little hover thing here? We can select the active one. And it says background color white. So that one, we can change that to yellow or whatever color you want. Green, I guess. It really doesn't matter. So let's just do that again. Copy that quickly. Control C. Got it before it spins around. And we'll change the color once we're in the CSS. I don't know what goes with red. Green, I guess, but I'll kind of make it look Christmassy. Let's say yellow. That should stand out nicely. That yellow right there. As you can see with brackets, if you hover over a color, whether it's hexadecimal, RGBA, or just a name like that, it'll show you the color that you've got there. Let's save that. Control S. Go back to the site. Let's get rid of that. Now when I refresh, the white active slide indicator should turn yellow. There we go. Simple as that. And that's very easy and quick way to make a carousel slider. Okay, so it's a call to action. You might want to put a little button that does something in there. Let's just do that quickly. And again, let's use our Bootstrap snippets. So if we go back to our brackets right here, let's go down. Here's our slider that we just put in. And underneath the last paragraph text here, we'll add a button. And again, let's use our Bootstrap extensions here. So let's go to Extension Manager. I'll use RCH because if you remember earlier on, there was a whole load of button shortcodes there. We can just do it manually, but we may as well use them. More info. Let's see what our button shortcode is. I think it's BS4 button underscore whatever you want. Let's keep going. Badges, buttons. Here we are. Primary danger. I think we've got some outline buttons. I'm going to use an outline button. Let's use Bootstrap for a button. NOL. Let's try that. I wonder if I can copy and paste. Get that out of the way. There we go. Danger, that's going to be red, dark, light. Let's use button light. And if we look what we've got here, there's our button type. Of course, we can customize this, but I'm just going to put it in there. Here's the href where you want it to send people. And you can put any link in there. You can put an anchor to a section on your page, or you can send them to an external website. Let's just I'm going to get a link here from my own website. Just on another monitor here, I'm copying an address, link address, and I've copied it. So right where that hashtag, if you're doing a link, you want it to be in between those two inverted commas there. Let's just undo that. So you want to get rid of the hashtag, and you've got two sets of inverted commas there. It's inside there, you want your link. Alright, now let's just copy this. Well, hang on. Where it says link button here is the text that's going to appear in your button. So I'm going to say more exclamation. Now we've got a button going on there. Let's just copy this and put it on the other slides as well. Control C. We may want to change our padding that we put into our slide description just now. Now we've got more actually within it. So I've copied that to the other two slides there. Control S to save. Let's go back to our site. Okay, then should now appear a button underneath here. Let's refresh and see what happens. There we go. There's our little button. And of course you can customize your hover effects and everything else there. Now what do you think? Do we need to pull that down any? I think that's still okay actually. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine there. You can read everything. So I'm happy with that. That is how to create a fading image slider. One more thing. I was going to stop it right there. I apologize. This is going on a little whiles, but having a bit of fun here. So let's continue. At the moment, these slides are taking, let's have a look. Let's have a count. Wait till it goes to the next slide. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. About 4 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. What if we want them to be 7 seconds? If you've got a lot of info there and you want people to see your images, how do you change the timing? Very easy. Let's go back and let's look at our code here. Here's our carousel full. It's telling it to fade. You can tell it to slide in from the left, right, whatever. Data ride, carousel. So let's put in data, D-A-T-A, interval, I-N-T-E-R-V-A-L, for the amount of time each slide appears on screen. Whoops, I want an equals there, not a plus. Data interval equals, and a couple of inverted commas. And inside here you can put your timing. And I'm going to use milliseconds. So let's say 7 seconds. It was 5 seconds, so let's, or 4 seconds, whatever it was. Let's give it 7 seconds, which will be 7,000 milliseconds. And save that. Now when we go back to the site and do a refresh, these should take 7 seconds. So we'll start counting when it does 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. Yeah, so that's taking about 7 seconds there. So that's how to change the timing. Okay, well, we'll wrap it up there. There's a lot of other things we can do with this, and I'll probably do that in another video. So I hope you found that useful. If you have, please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're interested in web development, we've got some great free courses down below. There's also some great premium courses that have huge discounts for our YouTube subscribers, so do take a look. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.